TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey, gang, it is Wednesday. It is Wednesday, August the 14th. Man, we're kind of blowing through some of these months, it seems like. So, we're getting to what do they call it? The dog days of summer for baseball, right? I mean, like, these games are, holy moly, some of these games, and the way that they're working out, and looking at the numbers and the lines, and would these numbers be the same way 2 months ago, and all that stuff. It's an interesting time to be betting baseball, and one of the things that's a constant that I see. Hey, Daniel Barry, thanks for joining us. Welcome in. Nice to see you. One of the constant things that I see, and Jeff and I talk about this from time to time. We talk about it every year, but from time to time, baseball wears people out. There's just no question. It is a difficult sport to bet, and it's difficult because the wins are great, but the losses, when you lose games and you're ahead by 7 runs and a team comes back and scores 8 to win, you just lose capacity. You have dropped fly balls, and you have pass balls and balks, and just silly stuff that happens in these games. And hey, Marty Lowe, how are you, man? Welcome in. Thanks for coming on board. When you're doing this stuff and you're going through it, it wears you out, because you're in a lot of cases barely staying afloat, and as you go, then you get these games and it doesn't go your way, and then all of a sudden you got 3 or 4 days in a row like that, and it's just like, okay, white flag goes up, right? And I think everybody goes through that. So baseball is a sport that you got to be committed to, and it depends on how you bet it. So one of the things that I don't talk about a lot are prop bets. I'm not out here telling you what home run batters are going to have, and go get this guy because he's going to have more than a half of a total base, and and this guy's going to have less than 18 outs, and and all that kind of stuff. So there's different ways to bet the stuff. So there was a guy who's on Twitter, and he's I don't follow. Let's put it to you this way: I use Twitter lists. And I have my regular page, and and all that stuff, and then I have my lists pages, and I put certain people in these lists. So I want to see certain people information wise, because you learn stuff, and sometimes they have links to stuff, and you can read and you can learn. But ideally, you want to kind of figure out who you can rely on for information. Anyway, there's a guy that went to Bet Bash. And came back, and he's getting back into betting baseball. And one of his tweets that he put out there was, it was a sad day when he looked at his golf account. This guy had 78 units positive in golf, which is quite a few, and he lost them all. 78 units gone. So he's down to 0 in golf, and that happens. It doesn't matter whether you're the greatest gambler in the world. You're going to have spells, and golf's a sport that I would tell you is very similar to the way you bet baseball props. Okay, I don't bet a lot of baseball props. I don't look at a lot of baseball props. I used to look at some of this stuff on a very regular basis, but it's they tell you it's an inefficient market. And the reason that's an inefficient market is because, if you wanted to go bet, say, $10,000 on a baseball game, you can. If you want to go bet $10,000 on a baseball prop, you cannot. There's limits. Maybe it's 1,500 is the most. Maybe it's 2,000. Maybe it's 1,000. Depends on what your book is. So the efficiency of the market and how many people are betting that stuff changes those and the odds and all the different kind of stuff that goes along with it. So, but baseball betting and golf betting, especially props, I kind of refer to it as, if you want a guy that's going to be over, say, a half total bases, and then you want to get a home run prop guy, you don't bet one. You bet 3 or 4 to hopefully hit one. And you bet 3 or 4 to hopefully hit one on whatever you're doing. And if you hit 2 or 3, you're going to make a little bit of money. And if you hit them all, you made a lot of money, right? So that's the way those bets work because the way the odds are set up and the way the payouts are set up, you're getting plus money for a guy to hit a home run. And they don't hit home runs every day. I mean, the leader of the league is 40 or 42 or whatever it is. But he doesn't hit a home run every day, but he's got odds every day. So if you bet him every day and you bet him every day, you're probably going to lose money. I don't know. I don't know what his odds are. So I guess my point is this. Don't give up on baseball because as you start to narrow things down, and especially right now, there are things going through that are separating themselves from other things. So in other words, some of these teams that were considered in the playoffs, and if I pull up my standings over here, if you pull up and you look at some of this stuff, you run into teams like the Texas Rangers. They're done. They know they're done, and they are. They're 8.5 games. Where's Texas? They're there. Texas Rangers are 10.5 games back of the wild card spot. They're done. So when a team is done, and then you got a team like the Boston Red Sox, they're 1.5 games out of the wild card. So you've got a team fighting for stuff and a team that they're going to play. They're professionals. They're going to play. They're going to try to win the game. But there's a different level of motivation between these teams. So you look for some of these kind of spots like that, and you look for some of the line confusion that it runs into. So, for example, the Boston Red Sox play the Rangers tonight, and I get it. If the Red Sox win, right? They've had a pretty good series, and they win a couple of games, right? Or maybe they win. Where is that? Yeah, they win the whole series, right? So they sweep the series if they win the game. So a lot of times that doesn't happen. Well, it does when the other team doesn't really care if they win the game or not, right? They're 10.5 games back, and the reality is the Boston Red Sox are structurally wise. If you had to go and say who's their best pitcher, their number one guy, well, he's pitching. He's pitching tonight, Tanner Houck. I don't want to sit here and go and say he's the greatest pitcher in the world. He's had some great starts. And then who are the Rangers throwing? Well, they're throwing Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning's a spot starter, filling guy, long relief guy, and then they're going to throw the bullpen. So there's a motivational edge for one team. There's a pitching edge for one team. There's all kinds of things that are going on for the Red Sox. So when you look at the line, and the line opened this morning, where's it at? Here you go. The line opening number is minus 160. 160 for the Red Sox. My number on that game, I think, is more like 170. Let me flip it to where that is. And I know I'm talking about a game that's already started, but there's a point to all of this. Where's Boston? There they are. My number was 200. And the reason that it was 200 is because the Red Sox, when base runs get filtered into my ranking part of it, the Red Sox have lost games that they should have won, so they're like a 90 win team in terms of power rank, and the Rangers are less than a 500 team. So when you have that dynamic, and they're at home, and they've got their best pitcher on the mound, that starts to really spread out. All right, well, it was minus 160. So when you look at it and they might lose this game, but so I'm not telling you that. But you want to look for these spots where you go and say, man, it's theoretically that spot might be bigger than 160, and it was 130 or 126 at Bookmaker or 129 at Bet Online, right? It's one of these spots where you look at this stuff and you go, it doesn't make any sense. So the other part of that I've seen is people go and say, oh, that's a fishy line. That's the terminology that's used. It's a fishy line. And the fishing line, the fishy line is one of those things where you sit there and you go, doesn't make sense, right? And then it creates food for in your head to go, well, I want to bet against this because it doesn't make sense. And that's what people do. People go and they make these bets just because the line doesn't make sense. And I'm going to sit here and tell you a couple of things. First of all, don't do that. I know Ariel Epstein is out there and she makes her bets on these fishy lines, but don't do that. That's not EV positive betting. That's just guessing at, oh, this line doesn't make sense, so I'm going to go against it, because that feels like what I should do. But that's what they would say. That's a contrarian bet. So I saw that in the early game today, where you had the Twins were playing the Royals, and the Royals are throwing one of their best pitchers, if not their best pitcher, with Reagans today, and he's going to face a Twins sort of fill-in pitcher, and Varland was pitching, and it was a small favorite for the Royals. Well, they won the game handily. It was 4-1. Reagans pitched really good, but people were afraid. They were afraid to bet on the Royals. I bet on the Royals. I bet on the Royals yesterday too and lost, but I bet on them today because it's the right spot. It's the right thing. It was EV positive. That's what you do. Don't let all the other noise get into the way of things. There was one other spot there that I liked about that game, and what I liked about it was the Royals are fighting for a playoff spot. They're in the playoffs. The Twins are trying to catch Cleveland. The Royals are trying to catch both of them. So then the Royals got beat twice already. They had to win that game. So, and they had the right pitching matchups, and they had all the stuff going for them. So, in that Boston Red Sox game, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I bet the Red Sox. I got minus 129 on the Red Sox. I bet the Red Sox. I hope the Red Sox win. But that's where your EV positive money comes. But the point of the whole story is people are giving up on baseball because these spots are hard to find, but they're really not. They're there every day. You just got to find them. And then as you find them, I want to tell you that, the performance of the players and the stuff has to be good for you, right? You get all these guys on base and they don't score them. That's great. But, they if you don't score them, you're probably going to lose the game. So anyway, point being is don't give up on baseball. Figure out how to bet them. Be careful on what you're betting. Some of these people out there really will tell you how great they are. That golf guy that I was telling you about that lost 70 some units or whatever is down to 0. The reason he's down to 0 is because he hasn't hit a outright winner. So when you bet golf, you got to bet like 5 guys to win. And they're like, plus 70 to 1, plus 50 to 1, plus 40 to 1, plus 100 to 1. So you're betting those guys and you're wanting to hit one. And if you don't hit them, the next level of bet that you make is you bet the guys in the top 10 or the top 20. So you're not getting quite that return, but it's still, it's still better than minus 110. So you're getting a better return. And then the next level of betting in golf is you bet the head-to-heads, right? So his record was showing there because, he's got the bet stamp stuff or whatever, I don't know, whatever program he had. But he had made 300 bets. 300. I think it's actually more like 350, to be honest. He's won a total of 11 bets out of all of those bets. I don't know if I could mentally handle making 360, 350 bets and win 11 and lose all that many. But my outcome is net 0. So what you won enough through these prop bets and stuff that you're betting to cover all those other bets, right? So that's the way baseball betting is. You just have to be careful on what you're betting. And if you're following the right advice or you're following some of the right things, you're not going to get, if you're going to bet a pitcher, say, for example, to be under 18 outs is going to be 6 innings, right? So he's going to be under 6 innings. If you're going to bet that, you're not going to get 20 to 1, 30 to 1. That's going to be more like a minus 110, or it's going to be a plus 120, depending on what or it might be minus 150. It's like strikeout props. So if you're going to make all of those bets, that's just the same kind of bet as, okay, I bet the Royals today at minus 115. So that's the same kind of bet. So you just have to be careful of what you're betting and know what you're doing. So anyway, point being is don't give up on baseball. There's a lot of baseball to go. I would also tell you this: be careful what you listen to out there and be careful what advice you take. So I'm not the world's greatest guy when it comes to future bets, but I will say this. If you're in the market to start betting futures on National League MVPs and you go and say, hey, Paul Skeens is on sale, don't buy that. There's a reason why his number has gone from minus 3,000 to, I think it's minus 300 or minus 350 now. Paul Skeens is almost done. Like, he's not going to pitch a lot more. He's made 15 starts. He might make another 4 or 5 starts, and then he's done. So his volume of work is in. He's made 92 innings, I think is the number, something along those lines. He might get to, say he gets to 120 innings. Look it up. Pitchers that pitch 120 innings don't win. We're in our Rookie of the Year. You got to make 20 starts or win 20 games or pitch 200 innings or at least close to that, and you got to get 200 strikeouts. He's not anywhere near those numbers. Your guy that you want to bet on, if you're going to bet that market, is the guy in San Diego, Jackson Merrill. I mean, Jackson Merrill's holy moly. So you want to bet that guy. I mean, that guy's plus 350 now, and you could have got him at plus a lot more, a couple weeks back. But anyway, point being is just be careful what you're listening to and who you're hearing things from, because there's different motivations for people. Some of these guys work for the sports books, and they want action and they want different things happening to create a market. So they're trying to get stuff going on. So anyway, just be careful when it comes to that stuff. So tonight's games, there's not a lot of things that I got into. We can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. I do have two spots here where I think that you can kind of look. And remember, we had quite a few people on the show yesterday. There's 70 people on right now. Yesterday we had close to 300. We talked yesterday about going into Fangraphs and being able to look at, like we talked about Matthew Boyd. you can go look at his starts and what they looked like. We talked about the kid pitcher that pitched for Minnesota and, whether he was a super touted guy and, what to expect from him. So we have kind of a similar situation with that tonight. So I'm going to go back to Fangraphs for a second. Yeah, I have it pulled up, so it's not going to take us very long. And this is Walker Buehler. The reason I want to bring up Walker Buehler. So Walker Buehler came back from injury this season. Had a rough go of it. So well, first of all, he back in, it looks like March through April, he was in the minor leagues. And then they brought him back up in the major leagues. He pitched, I don't know however many games he pitched in there. And then they sent him back down. So because he couldn't do it. So now, July 26th, August 1st, and August 8th, he made 3 minor league starts. So they're going to bring him back up and pitch tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Dodgers have already won 2 games, so they've shown some power here in winning these games against another team that's winning their division. So that's really good. They got a good start from Stone last night, and they got a good start from Kershaw the night before. So they've done well. Plus Mookie Betts come back and hit a couple home runs already, and the offense looks pretty good. So the reason I bring that up is Milwaukee needs to win this game. So then you look at it and you go, okay, well, where is Walker Buehler? Has he got fixed in the minor leagues? So his first start on July the 26th when he went down, he pitched 4 innings. And, you're not going to pitch a lot of innings in the minor leagues. They don't pitch a lot. So he pitched 4 innings. He gave up 8 hits and 4 runs. That's not very good when you're Walker Buehler and you're pitching AAA guys. That doesn't sound like he got fixed. So the next start on August 1st, he pitched 3 innings, 3 1/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits and 4 more runs. That's not very good. So then the next start, the last start, he pitched 5 innings and gave up 1 hit and 1 run. Well, that's more like it. So they bring him up tonight to pitch. So what would your expectations be of Walker Buehler? He's made 3 starts. He's pitched 12 innings, almost 13 innings. He's given up 16 hits, given up 9 runs in those 3 starts. And this is just the second set of starts in the minor leagues, not the first group of starts. So the way I would grade this out is, okay, what is his average mean? What is his average game? Well, it looks like to me his average game is going to be, 4 innings and 7 hits and 4 runs, somewhere in there, because he's done it twice. And the other game's more of an outlier. So think about now you got to go face the Milwaukee Brewers. And I get it. The Milwaukee Brewers offense has kind of been stifled here a little bit, but they're still a good offense. The way I would look at this is I'm not sure that Milwaukee, because their offense has dropped off some, is good enough to beat the Dodger offense, especially with who's pitching for Milwaukee. But I will say their offense is good enough to score, 4 or 5 runs. And if their offense is good enough to score 4 or 5 runs, and you got the Dodgers offense against Frankie Montas, who you can get 4 or 5 runs, I think this is a dead over. I think the number was 9. So I think the right way to go here is to expect the Dodgers to keep kind of doing what they're doing, scoring 4 or 5 runs, maybe 6, right? And then I think you're going to see Milwaukee kind of fight back a little bit today, and they're going to hit Walker Buehler because he's not showing me anything that stands out to say that he can get these guys out. So I think that that's probably the way I would go. I think that the over 9 is the right selection in this spot. And I'm not the big over guy. I'm a more under guy, but I do think this is the right spot for an over. So I think that's play number 1. Play number 1 would be the Milwaukee Los Angeles Dodgers over 9 because you got Walker Buehler on the mound. You figure he's going to give up a few. They're going to bring in kind of a lower end bullpen guy to kind of help get through some of the middle innings. He's going to give up a couple runs. Montas is going to get hit. So I think you could see a 7-6 kind of game. And then I was looking at some other spots that I wanted to talk about. One of them, if I can go find where my stuff is, there it is. So if I go and I look at Houston plays in Tampa today. This will be Houston Blanco against Lytle for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has lost 2 games against these guys, but they've played them pretty tough. Yesterday they got beat by 1 run and they fought back to get into the game. Had a chance in the 8th inning to tie the game, but they didn't. And Blanco and Lytle are playing. The line was originally 125. Circuit's got it 123 now. Bookmakers 117. So we'll just call it 120. So your value on the play is going to be on the Houston side. Houston's tied for the lead in the American League West, and Tampa Bay is a less than 500 team. And Blanco has been a very good pitcher for Houston. Now, he's a guy through a no-hitter, and he's had a couple other good starts in there. But I will say that Blanco is he's not a super big strikeout guy. He's a guy that relies on where the ball gets hit. But the Rays aren't hitting real well, and the Astros are. But this is also one of those spots where, and it doesn't come out that often, but you got to start thinking about it. Now that we're in August and they got a little bit more time, and then you hit September, and then you're into the playoff runs. But these teams are sweeps will happen with good teams against bad teams. Tampa Bay's not a bad team, and Tampa Bay's made a lot of roster changes and a lot of moves. These guys are trying to figure it out, and they're playing hard. So in this particular spot, I don't think the value is there to be following up with Houston as a 3-game sweep. That doesn't mean they won't do it. I think you got a better pitcher in Blanco, but he's not that much better. Lytle will surprise you in terms of numbers. So I thought it was an interesting spot, so I thought I would bring it up. The other one that was interesting was Seattle and Detroit. So everybody and their brother's betting Seattle tonight. And I don't blame them. I mean, I get it. Detroit went and scored a whole bunch of runs yesterday, got a whole bunch of hits yesterday against Kirby. And, that's not an easy thing to do. And Seattle didn't hit. So theoretically, the reversal should happen tonight. You should have Detroit kind of fall back to what they normally are, and Seattle should hit. Well, the reason I kind of have a hesitancy here is the last time Brandon Wu threw, who's pitching for Seattle tonight, was against the Detroit Tigers. And he threw a great game. The game scored 68 or something like that. Well, I know by watching these things, when that stuff happens, there's going to be a reversal of fortune here. He might not throw a terrible game, but he's certainly not going to throw a 68. He might throw a 60. He might throw a 50. There's an offset coming, and the offset will help Detroit. And the other thing that's helping Detroit is Kerry Carpenter. So Kerry Carpenter's missed a lot of time because of his bad back and had all kinds of issues. But he's a hitter. When he gets to play, he's a hitter. He's a left-handed hitter, so he only plays against right-handed pitchers. And so when he's in the lineup, that makes that team dangerous. Yesterday was the first time he's been back in the lineup in, a month and a half. He hit 2 home runs yesterday. I'm not suggesting he's going to hit 2 home runs today. But what I am suggesting is that lineup is much, much different when Kerry Carpenter's in it. And it will get even better when Riley Green gets in it. So they're not going to be this big walkover team that, everybody is kind of pancaking coming up to now, because their offense is going to start hitting. And it showed yesterday. So we'll see what happens with that today. That was minus 140 on the road for Seattle. And I know everybody and their brothers on that game. So I'm not going to tell you that my numbers say it's kind of the right spot. It's not good value, but at the same time, there's reasons not to bet it, and that's kind of one of the things when you're betting these games. You want to bet value, value, value. Don't force it, and then when you're betting the games and you can't find it, don't sit there and go, well, the Seattle just didn't hit yesterday, so they're going to hit today. Well, what if they don't? Because it's possible. Bo Brisky's pitching for Detroit. Okay, well, who knows Bo Brisky? Well, Bo Brisky's their, long relief guy, setup guy, whatever. And he hasn't been terrible. It's been pretty good, actually. And then their bullpen's going to pitch. So if they have a good bullpen day, that's going to be structurally kind of hard for Seattle. Seattle got a big kick when Arozarena showed up. Arozarena is still doing well. He's still hitting well. But the rest of the guys have kind of fallen apart behind him. So their kind of rise to more good batting and good hitting has now fallen off. And then you bring in bullpen piece after bullpen piece, and they do well. Those guys have to be chopped up in terms of what they see, and it makes it harder for those guys. So I think this game could be a very competitive game. Could be. It's so I don't think that it's worthy of going out and making that bet. Maybe you did. I don't know. The other one that I really liked was the Mets, but I can't figure out how to play them. I don't want to play him on the first 5-run line. Peterson's pitching for the Mets. He's not a great pitcher, but all he does is win when the Mets play. And they're playing Oakland. Oakland kind of got away with one yesterday. Did pretty well, got a lot of hits. I don't expect that to be the case tonight. You got a lefty on the mound. I expect the Mets to kind of bounce back here and do pretty well. But I'm not paying minus 220. That line opened minus 190. It's all the way up to 225 in places. So I think people are going, yeah, that's probably right. We should bet that. So that's what they're doing. So the only other spot that I thought was really worth a bet is Toronto plays in Los Angeles tonight. It's the Blue Jays and the Angels, and I am just not a Barrios guy this year. Barrios, he pitched good the last time out, so I expect him to be not so good this time out. And the Angels are throwing their best pitcher. I know that doesn't mean a whole lot, but Anderson's been really good. Tyler Anderson, when you look at the WAR numbers, and we talked about that stuff yesterday, he's an over 2 WAR. He's like 2.2, 2.3 WAR guy. And Barrios is barely, he didn't even make B1 yet. So he's had such a terrible year. So you've got a pitcher that's 2 times better than the other guy. And you're not facing Gosman tonight. You're facing a guy that doesn't have the same kind of stuff. So I expect the Angels to kind of hit a little bit better. I would tell you, when I looked at it and was going to say, hey, this is a good play for the show, the line was Anderson minus 108, but the number right now is Anderson minus 116, 115. We'll just call it 115. That's not terrible. At 108, you got CV, you got EV positive number, and when you're looking at the number now, it's Angels there. So if I went and changed that to my number was Angels minus 130. So I think you're still good. I like the idea that you're getting a good pitcher that doesn't give up home runs, and that's the only way the Blue Jays win. Is Guerrero goes out there and hits home runs. So if you can control him, you can win this game. And I think, that the Toronto bullpen's terrible. So I like the idea that they're going to fight back and the Angels will be there. Now, there always is a caution here. And I say this because the predictability value on teams that aren't very good, and neither one of these teams are very good. is less than it is on the teams that are good. And the teams that are good, they're good, their strengths, where they're at, where they're good at, and whether or not they're like the Phillies are a good team that's going through whatever the hell they're going through right now. They can't score runs. They can't hit. And their pitchers that have been great all season long are kind of going through that. Oh, we're not any good right now. So this is not the time to be betting Phillies. But you know who they are, and you can rely on the consistency and performance of their players. The Angels, oh my God, you can't rely on those guys and the consistency of that. But when you make a number and you make a line and you make stuff come out, if you're looking to make a bet, you better make it an EV positive bet, and that is, it's the Angels. So the same thing applies to the Blue Jays. You got one consistent guy over there, and it's Guerrero Jr., and he wasn't consistent at the beginning of the season. He's been consistent now for a month and a half. He just goes out and hits home runs and drives in runs and just hits and hits and hits. So if they got nobody on base or things aren't going on good around him, then it's going to be hard for them to score a bunch of runs. So I like this side. I like the side, meaning the Angels. I like that better than the other alternative, which is how do they get a bunch of runs in this game? I don't like Barrios, but he can be tough. And the Angels are just weird in terms of what do you get. Neto's been really good for them lately. So maybe and Rendon's been really good for them. So those two guys, maybe they get going and they have a good day again tonight. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's hard to score runs for both sides, and maybe an under is the right look. Well, the under is 8.5. So when I was kind of weighing it out and kind of looking at it, I would rather bet on Anderson because my theory in the head is, and Anderson is less likely to give up a whole bunch of runs and get blown up than Barrios, and I think Barrios can give up quite a few runs, and I think the Angels can capitalize. So I think that's play two, right? So the original plan was to come in. I was going to talk Red Sox. I was going to talk, I think Milwaukee and the Dodgers going over was a good play. I think the Angels were a good play. But when I look at my board and I go, where's my EV positive spots? Well, Kansas City, I already bet them. I have Arizona as an EV positive spot. And what's the score in that game? That game is it's over. It's 11-4. We had a spot with Boston. Boston's a big EV positive. And what's going on over there? Looks like it's 2-1 Boston. And then I had the Baltimore is a very small EV positive spot, and they don't start, or they started. They're ahead 2-0. And then you have the Chicago Cubs are in a big EV positive spot, and that's another one of those guys that you got to go look up and see what's going on. It's Cobb. Cobb's the reason. He's pitching for Cleveland, and he's already made one start in the big leagues, and he did pretty well. That doesn't mean he's going to have another one. So you kind of balance that out and see where that kind of looks. But EV positive wise, he shows up as a good bet. And then a very, very minor bet is positive is Milwaukee. And then you have the Angels. The other spot is Atlanta. It's a big EV positive number. And the reason it's a big EV positive number is kind of how I do my numbers. So I don't automatically throw these games out, but I have to rationalize them out. So let me explain what I'm talking about. Robbie Ray is pitching for the Giants, and he's made, I guess, maybe 3 starts now. So when a projected WAR number comes out, he's not going to be where he normally is. So Robbie Ray won the Cy Young, not too long ago, and he's going to be like a WAR number. If you're a Cy Young guy, you're going to be a WAR number of 5 or 6. You're going to be way up there. Robbie Ray right now, I think, hasn't made one yet. So So he's going to come out as a, say, 0.5 or a 0.6 or a 0.7, and then he's going to have to earn his way. Well, he didn't do so good the first time, even though he won. His second time was better. He didn't do so good the next time. So he hasn't really gained a ton of value to grow his WAR number. And facing Atlanta and Holmes today, and Holmes was a relief pitcher that they're making a long, a starter. And his number is, if not the same as Robbie Ray, pretty close because he's like a 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, something like that. And when you match these two teams up, who's got a better record, the Braves or the Giants? Well, the Giants are a 500-ish team, and the Braves are a 90-win type team. So the Braves are going to have a better record, and if the pitchers in terms of WAR numbers are very similar, the Braves are going to be the favorite. And that's what happens. When my numbers come out, the Braves are minus 120. So that creates a lot of value for the Braves. But also what's interesting is the Braves are starting to hit. The Giants are going into the gutter. They're not hitting at all. So I looked at this in a different way too. The Braves, the Braves are plus 36 in run differential, and that's kind of consistent. And I don't want to say it's exactly matching, but it's kind of consistent with how base runs work to a little bit of a degree. It certainly is how Pythagorean theorem works. There's a little bit of that in there. And then you have the Giants. They're minus 7 runs. So theoretically, well, not theoretically, their opponents have scored more runs than they have, or the difference between the two is more than what they're doing. So they're going to be a 500-ish kind of team that's kind of real close to that zero, right? Minus 7 is, and the Braves are over that number. The Mets are plus 15, and the Braves are over that number. And the Padres are plus 64. So that's kind of where you see the Braves are now having to go, because the Padres passed them. And so the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks passed them. So the Braves got to get kind of back in. The Braves are going to be fighting for that third playoff spot. So this is a big game for the Braves. Almost every game they play right now is a pretty big game. So the Giants are trying to get there, but the Giants are 3.5 games out of the wild card. They can't keep dropping games. They especially got to win them at home. And Robbie Ray's going to have to be Cy Young Robbie Ray. But the other issue with this game, and I'm going to flip this over for one thing to show you that sometimes you should really look. It doesn't matter how good Robbie Ray is. Sometimes he's left-handed, and the Braves, when they face left-handers, have a great right-handed batting order. So they're 22 wins, 13 losses against left-handed pitchers. And if you kind of go up and down the board to see who has the most wins in the National League against left-handed pitchers, the Dodgers have 27 wins. The Phillies have 26 wins, and then the Braves have 22. So the Braves are pretty good. And I know that we kind of have knocked them down and knocked them back, but they're coming and they're starting to hit. I know the last 10 games they are 3-7 and all that stuff, but that all changes as things hit. And it's like tomorrow. The Braves are in a spot tomorrow. And I forget. Where's my phone? It's on the floor. They play. Come here. There we go. They play Fried. Fried's pitching tomorrow for the Braves. And then you have where's my numbers? Here we go. So if I look at tomorrow, Braves. They play the Giants tomorrow. So Fried's on the mound. He's left-handed, facing the Giants. The Giants against left-handed pitching, 16-23. So that's not very good. And they throw Webb. right? So you got Webb against Freed, and it looks to me like the Giants are minus 110. I get it. It's at home game, but that's not how it's going to come out, I don't think. I think kind of how it's going to come out is, you got a 90-win team, a 500-win team, maybe a slightly better pitcher in Webb in terms of WAR numbers. They're not going to be enough to make them the favorite. So I'm kind of interested to see kind of how that plays out after tonight's game, because I think that's probably a pretty good spot tomorrow, especially if the Braves lose tonight, because I think they'll fight hard and they'll come back in, and they get Harris back tonight, so we'll see what that makes their offense look like and kind of how that goes for them. So anyway, that's all I got. Tonight I thought was. The first, maybe I should have found a better way to play, like Arizona. I didn't trust Montgomery enough to do that. And I was really worried about Mitch Keller having a pretty good day today. Obviously didn't. Padres are just rolling, right? Those are the two teams, the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Doesn't matter. You should almost just be betting on them because, each team, I think 16-4 in their last 20 games. They lost 4 games in the last 20 games. So you should be betting them. And the numbers are going to be high. So you got to figure out how to bet them. Now, I've been trying to bet Diamondbacks for a couple of days and been playing them on the run line, and they've only been winning by 1 against the damn Rockies. So that hasn't been working out for me. So got to figure out a different way. Or you just bite the bullet and look at it and go, hey, there's value there. I'm going to pay him at minus 200 and do whatever. So anyway, point being is that those hot teams like that, whenever they are and wherever they're at, you got to bet on them. And when they're hitting and scoring and winning all these games and getting good pitching, the Padres getting no hitters and stuff, you want to be all over that stuff. So find a way, right? And sometimes, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, as the All-Star break changed and we kind of get into these but these games come down, you're going to see crazy odds. You're going to see a minus 400 pretty soon. Somebody's going to be minus 400. You're going to see that stuff because some of these teams are going to be, AAA caliber teams when they get all these call-ups and they get all this stuff. That's what's going to be going on. And then you're going to have these other times trying to make the playoffs, and there's kind of enough of them in there trying to make wild card spots that, they're going to be playing hard. So you're going to see kind of bigger numbers. So be prepared to take that whatever line you have and say you're not going to bet over 150. Well, you better start, because you're not going to bet if you don't, because you're going to have to, you're going to be betting on teams like the Oakland A's when they play the White Sox or something. Yeah, and you don't want to do that, right? You want to be still betting on the good teams. You still want to bet on the consistency of the players and the outcomes. So you're going to have to figure out where that new line is as that goes along, or look at run lines, and start mixing in football. And then when the playoffs come, another way to bet baseball is, and maybe we'll start looking at some of this, series bets, right? So you can start betting the series, and maybe we'll start doing a little bit of that to help us get away from, so say what was it, the Padres played the Pirates, and I'm just making this number up because I didn't look at it. We'll just say the series price was Padres minus 250. So they gotta win the series. So if you think they're going to win the series and do well and they're dominating, right? Same thing with the Diamondbacks. You played it once, and when it hits, you get your money. You're good, but you didn't go pay it 250, 250, 250, 250, 250 all the way down. So you played it once. And then you can play other stuff in and around it. You can do other things. You can do all kinds of stuff. So, maybe we'll do some of that and take a look at some of that anyway. But some of it's, got to be a little bit, got to be a little bit like, the Yankees got beat the other day when they were minus 300. So if you bet the series, that one loss isn't going to hurt you if they win the series, right? So it's no big deal. Who cares? They won 2 and lost 1. They won the series. So that's kind of where you can go with not getting hurt on betting some of those big numbers. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. All right, guys. So not on tomorrow. There's only 7 games. Looks like 4 of them are in the daytime. If you want, what I'm doing or want my plays on them, you just sign up. Go to MLB-daily.com. My service is $100. So $100 for a whole year. I'm not trying to rip anybody off. I'm not sitting there going, hey, it's one of these things where, you're giving me thousands of dollars. That's I don't make my living off of doing that part of it. I make my own living off the bets I make. And of course, sometimes you run into bad spots, but it's one of those things. You go through it and keep making it. It's just part of gambling. So you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And it's like the Energizer Bunny. You just keep going. So now we're at a point where if you want to be doing that stuff, you want to catch up on some of those things, you can. I'm going to start be doing a lot more football. Not that baseball is going away. We're going to do baseball, but we're going to do some football stuff coming along. So don't be surprised to be hearing me talk some football. So that's coming, and as we go along. So go to the website MLB-daily.com. Sign up, become a client. If you don't want to be a client, that's okay. To go there and just sign up to become get the emails, right? So you can get newsletters and so forth. Used to be when I do these shows, a couple people go there and sign up. Nobody's going anymore. So we need some activity, right? We need stuff going. We need stuff happening, right? The interaction part of it is great, but it's slowing down. Like we had 300 people on here just yesterday, and nobody signs up. Nobody interacts. They say they're on Twitter, right? We're going to sign up, great price, but nobody does anything. Nobody follows you on Twitter, right? So I say these things not because it's important to me that you follow me. It's way more important for the business aspect of growth. So you need followers, you need retweets from the followers to get more, so that you can go to an advertiser and go, hey, look, we're getting 1,000 views every night. And when you get 1,000 views every night, you can go pay somebody to come in here and be a producer and make slides for you, put fun things up, and all of a sudden you got this pristine show, right? That's what we're looking to do, but you got to generate income. How do you generate income? Well, you get followers, you get people subscribe to your shows, you get them tuned in, and or you sign up and be a customer, so that I can use that income to do those things. It's the way things work. It's the way business is. So I get it. We get all these views, but be more than just a viewer. Be a participant. Get involved. Get active in what we're doing. So anyway, that's what I would like to see, what I'd like to say, and then we'll go from there. So anyway, point being is, I guess it's Wednesday night. Have a great day tomorrow. I hope you guys win. I hope you guys do stuff. There's a football game tomorrow, right? I got to figure that out, and then kind of go from there. And then we'll be back on Wednesday or Friday. Friday will be a great day. It's always a great day. And we're going to have new matchups, new teams, and bad lines. So Fridays are great days. So those of you there's 100 people on here right now. Those of you watching and stuff, Fridays are great days to be a part, because we went over the EV positive spots just a minute ago, and there's a couple of them that were kind of big, but there's very few of them tonight. There'll be a lot of them on Friday. So we want to hit them all, and we want to bet them all, and we want to make some money. So guys, have a great night, and I will talk to you again on Friday at 6:15. So I don't know, maybe I should come up with some kind of phrase or something, when I close these shows. Like on Twitter, I'm always saying, hey, let's get after it, right? But let's get to a point where we're being aggressive. We're going to the window. We're making EV positive bets. We make 1,000 of them, and we're going to win some money. So let's do all of those things. Everybody be safe. want to see everybody back here. Don't everybody go doing silly stuff and not be around. So I will see everybody again on Friday, 6:15. Guys, have a great night.